All right, welcome back to Crash and Eddie. I'm Eddie, and Crash is with us again. Crash, this is starting to be a trend, my friend.
Well, I hope it's going to be a trend, but maybe I can do it from other places around the world someday when the Rona thing goes away.
Yes.
Kind of
Well,
stuck here in my sleepy hollow, staring at the post office and watching people walk their dogs.
don't leave for anything except for getting food. And for God's sakes, keep your mask on even in your house.
Well, yeah, that's
I
yeah.
know you do. I mean, I don't mean to come at
Oh
you.
yeah, I do. Yeah,
I've been
yeah.
sleeping in mine lately, so that works out. I mean,
I have a son who plays basketball, high school basketball, and they make the boys wear a mask the whole time playing high school basketball. It's
no.
unbelievable.
Are
It's
you
unbelievable.
serious? That's not even healthy.
No, it's ridiculous.
I
It
wouldn't
really,
allow that, man. I couldn't do that. My girl plays tennis, and they started doing that a little bit during practice, and I'm like, if they try and have you do that during a match, you're quitting. Cuz that's just so wrong. I mean, why do you think the athletes aren't doing it?
what do you mean the professional athletes?
Yeah, I mean, you don't see them. You don't see them. You see them
Yeah,
on the sidelines, but not out on the field and not on the
no.
court. That's common sense,
No, well,
man.
because it's all part of this uh, getting the public comfortable with complying. And where do you start? You start with the kids. If they can get these high school kids to wear a mask playing basketball because grandma in the stands might get sick with the Rona, they can get them to do anything.
I'm shocked. I haven't heard of that yet. I have not heard of that yet. That's stunning. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what coach is you got to question the coach at that point. I mean, really?
Well, it's not the coaches. If they don't comply with the county regulations and mandates, they can lose their job or be fired as a basketball coach.
Okay, so college coaches, college hoops is going to start wearing masks.
I don't know.
Or are they
Just
stopping at high school? I mean,
Well, I don't know. They who knows? I
man,
think it really depends on local government and local health departments. And
it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. They're going to see the liabilities cuz it's crazy. That's just so cardio basketball too. I mean, you are
oh
taxing your
yeah.
breathing system so much, really?
Oh, and these kids they're just like touching their mask the whole time. It's falling down. And, they got to stop the game because the mask falls off, and
It's
it's
ridiculous.
oh
I've heard it all now, man. That's a
it
new
it
one for me.
it just chews me up inside, and I can take my own stance, but I don't want my son to not be able to play basketball
Yeah, it's a tough
because
one. It puts a parent in an awful position. Puts the coach, anyone with common sense, in an awful
all of this puts
position.
everybody in awkward positions that you either comply or it's basically you're going to get like in China the social credit score. You're going to be blackballed as a parent that's non-compliant.
Right.
Um, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, what do you got for us today?
All right. So today, you and I have been taking major heat about not getting from all the subs and the fans from not doing this doggone Bitcoin review.
Yeah.
So, so we are gonna do this. We're gonna tackle the beast today.
Yeah. Well, we have a lot of people who are interested in cryptocurrency that are watching our program, and a lot of people that may own a few, or maybe just own Bitcoin, or just own Ethereum, or just own Ripple. And, they want some background, some education. They want to,
Yeah.
when they talk to people, they want to know. they just want to understand it a little bit better. It's
Right.
just, so
Right.
maybe.
So we're doing these coin reviews. We decided to do this. It's not going to be every show, but we're going to hit as many as we can to get people as much information as we can. And the biggest first one of all is Bitcoin. That's what started it all with crypto. So we're going to get into a little bit of history and all sorts of stuff and just pour some knowledge on you guys about Bitcoin today.
Sounds good.
All right.
How can I help you?
Just do it all. That's all we need. Pretty much go.
All
1, 2, 3, go.
right. Okay, here we go. A little review on Bitcoin, if you've heard of that.
Here's where you
Uh,
wanted to buy it down here in
yeah, that's
2007,
zero.
2008.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right. So Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. It's a digital asset designed to work as a medium of exchange. So it's designed to be a store of value and a way of exchanging value for products or services or other currencies and things like that. And it's based. Unlike our fiat currencies that are based in well, they're not based on really anything. They are pretty authoritative and run by the central authority of particular governments in most cases. But Bitcoin is run with cryptography. So it deals with very sophisticated and complicated mathematical formulas and computations. And that's what's used to control the creation and management of Bitcoin. So it's math. It either is or it isn't. It's either there's no gray here. It's black and white. Either a transaction can be verified through cryptography and added to a ledger. If you don't know what a ledger is, a ledger it's basically just like an accounting ledger, and this accounting ledger, or what they call a ledger, is another name for the blockchain. Okay, so a blockchain, when anytime you hear people talking about Bitcoin and they talk about blockchain technology, the blockchain technology is primarily an accounting ledger that's um, stored and verified through cryptology. Okay,
Cryptography,
cryptography. Thank you. Um,
not
yeah.
archaeology or biology.
Oh, keep on going.
That's the kind of stuff Crash brings to the show, man. Right there.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah. I start talking too fast and my mind can't keep up with it.
He's a power talker, folks.
Yeah. So, anyways, Bitcoin was basically, it was put together by a presumed name, which is Satoshi Nakamoto, and he, if he even exists, there's a lot
Or
of.
Nakamoto, for those who might be familiar with that.
Yep.
So I got a question for you, Crash, since you brought that name up.
Mhm.
In your humble opinion, who is Satoshi Nakamoto? Or do you take it to be that literal? That is just a guy born in Japan, and that's
No.
him.
No, I read a whole bunch of stuff about it, and one of the things I found really interesting was that all of his posts before 2007 and during the creation of Bitcoin, they were all basically there was no posts in the middle of the night Eastern time in the United States. So um, there's a lot of people that believe that whoever it was working and operating in North America, probably the East Coast
Right, and
or
that would be
Central
prime
America.
time over in Japan. That's exactly when he'd be posting, right? If he
Um,
was from Japan.
right, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
That's
And,
interesting. No, I didn't hear that.
yeah, and it's very clear that there was other examples of people who came up with similar, maybe more complicated um, uh, systems like a Bitcoin and blockchain prior to that, and
Right.
it would have been disruptive technology to the central banks, and they tended to disappear.
Yeah, there was an e-coin that came out, I think they called
Uh-huh.
it. Something like that.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
so this is, I mean, Bitcoin is it's a financial system really, and it's gone now into all of cryptocurrency, but it's a battle with the banks, and that's why it happened to come out right during the last big banking crisis.
hmm yeah, the
So,
mortgage fraud.
right, and there's some notes on that in the white paper, in the Bitcoin white paper, I guess,
Hmm.
about the banking and so I'm gonna show one video we're gonna drop is that we'll attach to a link down below. Is It's called Tears of a Clown. It's Bitcoin and Friends. It's the first episode. There's like 6 or 7 episodes. It's kind of interesting, but it kind of tells the story of Bitcoin in kind of a satirical and cartoon way. It's kind of, I don't know, it's
Yeah, and
kind of
it's,
funny.
when I first started watching it, I was like, "What is this?" I didn't understand it, but if you give it some time, all of a sudden it starts coming together that they're telling a story
It
that
makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, that can kind of give you a visualization of how things went down and how it was created.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's one other two. Did you see the Bitcoin special on Netflix?
mm,
Think
I saw that it was out there. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was. It's called like the making of Bitcoin or something. I forget what it's called, but there's a Netflix Bitcoin special too that's kind of interesting. It takes you back and interviews a bunch of people going way back to when it was created. But that's one of the mysteries, and it's not every other crypto. There's a company and people behind.
Right.
Bitcoin's the only one where this
Yeah,
guy, whoever did it, they did it anonymously, and that's kind of the beauty of it. There's no one to
mhm.
go after.
There's no board of directors for Bitcoin.
Yep.
Nope. There's nobody to
So,
sue.
so you think it was made in the U.S. by
I
the
do,
NSA, is
yeah,
what
and
you're
I think
saying.
it's somebody that was really smart, and but they wanted to protect themselves and their family, and they've done a pretty darn good job of doing that. Now, I think there's been, like, I don't know, a whole bunch of people who've come out and said, "Yeah, that was me," blah 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 blah,
Right.
but nobody can verify it, and it's probably better just to be left this way.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, whoever did it, they have a wallet out there, and supposedly there's 1 million Bitcoin in it.
mm,
That's just sitting there. It hasn't been touched. People are waiting to see will it ever be moved, because then you can trace it back and say, hey,
yeah, I heard
here's
the I heard the account ID name is Crash.
soon to be changed to Eddie, hopefully.
All right, so I'm going to go down just a quick review timeline on some of the progression of Bitcoin over since it started. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So back January of 2009, um, Bitcoin basically had no value. Okay. It was there was no exchanges or markets. Nobody could even go out and buy it. It wasn't. It was really just talked about in um, uh, the small group of people who deal with uh, cryptography. And
Right.
so anyway, so there was no value. Okay, so it wasn't really until about July of 2010 that actually May of 2010 when there was a guy who uh, Laszlo, he went and he purchased 2 pizzas with Bitcoin. He paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas in Jacksonville, Florida, and they don't have a current value, but back in March of 2013, the value of those 2 pizzas versus the Bitcoin, it would have been $750,000 he paid for those 2 Bitcoin, if you would have saved those
For the
and
two
not.
pizzas.
Yep,
Wow.
yep, for 10,000 Bitcoin. So what that did is that kind of put it on the spotlight, and more people started looking at it as a viable option. And then in by July, that was in May. By July, the price had skyrocketed 900% in 5 days. So it went from 1 cent to 8 cents. Um,
So that would have been a $200 million pizza today.
yeah,
Wow.
exactly, exactly.
That is
So, and then
nuts.
I'll skip through some of the years, and we'll just get back up to August of 2017. This is when Bitcoin finally and first passed $3,000. Um, and then it went to $4,000 on the 12th of August. So then by September 1st, it was at $5,000 for the first time. And there was a lot of exchanges now that are operating. There's actual ways that the public can get involved. It wasn't very easy back then. You had to really kind of spend a lot of time trying to get an account open. It was all, it's nowhere as easy as it is now. It's like opening, any kind an Amazon account. It's just like a piece of cake. But back then it was pretty difficult. I know I spent a lot of time opening exchange accounts and Coinbase accounts and different things like that. So yeah, and so 2017 things have really started to take off. In September, it sunk down again to $3,000, but then by October 13th, it hit 5,600. Then October 21st, it was over $6,000. November 20th, it hit $8,000. And then finally, in December 15th of 2017, it hit an all-time high of $19,783. Okay, we just recently, in the last couple of weeks, finally broke that. And that was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Right. Yeah, it took a few years to get
Yeah.
back.
Right. So you're dealing with an infant asset class that had, there's a lot of things going on. It's very volatile,
Yeah, a
and
lot of
it really,
stuff went
yeah,
on.
it needed to mature. It took 3 years for it to mature to the point that all of a sudden now we have all this flood of money coming in. It's been legitimized in a whole bunch of different ways. There's corporations purchasing it and all that. So, it,
Yeah. And
yeah,
the
I think.
government's kind of said, we're not going to ban it. And Brian Brooks came out and
Mhm.
said that. Now, interesting point, though. Interesting fact. Now, when it hit the first peak back in 18,
December of 2017, right?
right. Yeah, early or late 17.
Yeah.
They decided to come out, the government decided to come out with Bitcoin futures. And they were quoted as saying, people from the futures exchanges were quoted as saying, we're going to do this so that we can harness this asset. So,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can give a downside so people can short it and,
Yeah.
basically paper Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
And it was extremely effective because as soon as they came out with that, within like a couple weeks, it just started absolutely tanking.
Yeah, it actually went down to a year later from that 2017, December 2017. In December 2018, it had hit the bottom of $3,300 from 19,000 at a 76% drop.
Yeah. Which happens with new assets, so happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not
Mm-hmm.
definitely nothing rare, nothing
Mm-hmm.
different. And I think if they could ban it, they would ban it, but I don't think they can because of how it's decentralized.
Well, and there's so many people that are involved in it that they want a piece of it too. They're just looking for they slowed it down so they had time to develop their own system so they could get a piece of the growth.
Exactly. And then a lot of the people accumulated. I think a lot of people took the time and resources to accumulate a lot of it, and now it's like they're fastly moving towards basically every port, and they even hear this today. I mean, you hear people coming out financial experts and stuff saying, "Oh, every portfolio should have it." You know, you're just starting to hear those whispers.
Yep. Yep.
So,
There's going to be a flood of money coming into this. There's no way of stopping it. Another thing I wanted to touch on as far as the history. Um, Well, actually, it's kind of more of a use case. I know when I first started getting into cryptocurrencies in 2016, 17, it was like, oh, why you buy that? How are you going to use it? You can't spend it, blah, 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 blah. Well, I just went through this morning and just a couple of the big companies that actually accept Bitcoin: Microsoft, Overstock, Home Depot. So if you have a lot of Bitcoin, you could actually build a house through without using any fiat currency. You could spend your Bitcoin at Home Depot, Starbucks, Whole Foods. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other companies that you could spend cryptocurrencies at. But right now you need to buy basically a card for them, a gift card for that particular store. You buy it with Bitcoin, you go and you spend it at whatever store you want to buy it. You can buy gold, you can buy silver, electronics. There's sports teams that are accepting cryptocurrencies for payments for tickets and things like that. All the cell phone carriers now will accept cryptocurrencies. And one of the big questions I get is, will Amazon accept Bitcoin? Directly, no. Indirectly through a third party, yes. And if you want more information on that, just contact our show, and we'll try to get that information to you. Same thing with Walmart.
so you can check out, you can pay at Home Depot with Bitcoin.
Yes.
I'm on their site right now.
I don't know if they'll announce it. It's see, some type of, you got to look for payment
Now you
sources.
can do it through PayPal, which will take it. We know that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not obvious yet, you know? I mean,
No.
I'm on their payment thing, trying
Oh,
to.
you got to sign in to get to where you're gonna do payment.
Yeah.
Go to the live chat and just ask them.
Yeah.
It was on the
I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure you
uh,
can. It's coming. You know what? The reason I bring it up is it's fascinating that
click on checkout.
that's where I was
Oh,
actually, and
okay.
it's like, okay, you want to,
Oh, you got to log in. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
don't have an account. See, some places let you do without that. But did you say Amazon you can?
Well, Amazon through a third party.
Okay, yeah, and it's
Uh,
coming. It's
and
my thing
it's the
is,
same thing with Home Depot. It's through a third party, but they have it. They said on the website that I was reading that you should be able to pay with your Bitcoin right at the register.
yeah, it's the more that comes out, the more it displaces the dollar. Really, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's fascinating what's happening. I mean, this is a battle with the central banking system. It really is, and how they're going to get around it. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit later, but how they're going to get around this and force you to use their money. That's what it comes down to. I mean, they have to force us to use it,
Mm-hmm.
and how they're going to do it is going to be interesting. If they let us use cryptocurrencies, I think they're going to figure out a way to significantly discourage it. I know they're going to try and just give money away so people spend it that way. So I don't know. It's anyways, sorry to interrupt. I just was just
No, that's it's true, and it's it's gonna create a whole nother division. You got all these things dividing the people of the world, um, in every category you can think of, and this is just going to be another one. Because
right.
there are going to be people who are actually interested in using real money or real stores of value, that want privacy and want um, freedom. And then
Right.
there's going to be people who want free coins from the government to pay for everything. and they'll vote for them, and it's just going to turn into a mess. The thing is, this technology could turn into the greatest thing humanity ever expected if we use it properly.
Right.
Particularly, I'm all for using blockchain technology for voting.
And that's common. I mean, I think that's
The system now is so completely backwards and messed up.
yeah, and they've accentuated this problem. We can't even get a vote in. So now
Right.
they've accentuated it, and the answer is the blockchain. Period. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the answer for voting. It's transparent, it's immutable, and you'll know
Yeah.
right away. And it's
It's public.
yep, yep. So I'm sure that'll be coming. Let's talk about the tech. Do you have anything else on the history? I mean, what do you?
No, yeah, I guess I just wanted to real quickly, and maybe you can help me with this, is talk a little bit about proof of work versus proof of stake.
Yeah. So let's get into the tech of Bitcoin a little bit. I mean, it's peer to peer. That's key. And that means that when you use Bitcoin, you're going directly to another entity, right? Whereas when you use another payment system, it goes to your bank, to a third party in the middle, then to the other person's bank, and then to that person. With Bitcoin, you go from you through the mining system, through the technology, and this is with any crypto, you're going through the tech that hopefully is trustless, and that's supposedly what all crypto is supposed to be, anyways, and then right to the other person. So it's creating this trustless system where you don't have to trust these three entities in the middle who are all taking a piece of the pie. That's your fee system, and then you have to trust that okay, you got that, and it's in today's world most of the times you do. If you're not moving big money like overseas and stuff or cross border, but it's the fee system and it's the whole system that you really don't need. It's inefficient. So
Right.
now, so
Yeah.
you brought up proof of work,
Yep. Yeah. So
and
there's some examples of coins or cryptocurrencies that use proof of work. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Monero, Dash, Zcash, Ethereum Classic. Those are they all use proof of work. And can you explain to people how proof of work operates and how it runs the system, the blockchain?
so proof of work, it's really these coins are mined. First of all, none of these coins are done being mined. Bitcoin will be mined in, let's see here, it's
2047.
yeah, is that right? 20, it's
I believe that's the number.
yeah, I think it's 2147.
No.
Where is that? No, it's well. Anyways, yeah, the mining's yeah, here it is. Yeah, it's out there though. It's 2040 something or 20. I forgot what it was. I
Yeah, I
thought
think
it
it's
was
2047 when there's actually no benefit to mining Bitcoin. However, at that point, the number of transactions and the transaction fees that the miners will be collecting is designed to sustain them.
right. Exactly. So proof of work. There's mining involved. You have miners, and they have to. It's got to go through the mining system to process the coins. So each block that's mined, basically, you get a reward that's dropped to the miners,
Hmm.
and that's how they get paid. Um, Now there's something called a halving event, and basically that happens every 210,000 blocks. And what happens is they call it the halving because the rewards that are paid go down by half
To the miners.
to the miners. Yep.
The,
So
what, and they're getting paid for each block that they verify, and when a certain percentage of them, is that correct, verify a block, then it goes on the blockchain, or do they
Um,
all have to verify it?
I think it's got to be closed. I think the block has to be closed and then it goes on to the blockchain.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's interesting. It's not the most secure blockchain, but it's never been hacked. And the reason proof of work can be kind of undone. I mean, you can go back, but it's tough to do because you have to go back and manipulate whatever block you're trying to hack or whatever, and then every block after that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a royal pain in the butt, and all these are sent out to nodes, so they're confirmed. And this is where the term decentralized comes out. It's not on one server system or one server farm or one server.
What's a
It's
node?
on these nodes. All cryptos are.
What's a node?
A node it's basically a computer or a server basically that
It's a miner, right?
no,
The
it's
equipment.
something that confirms though that it's not actually a miner. A node is like a group of I think it's like a group of computers and stuff that confirms basically everything that's going on. All the transactions that have gone through and so but every node has to confirm every block. So you're going out to thousands. I think I was reading Bitcoin's up to like 100,000 nodes. 10,000 of them are core nodes, and then they have like listening nodes, and there's a couple different types of nodes, but not to get too techy,
Yeah.
but basically that's how it's so secure. There's no real central point of attack. You'd have to take down basically the biggest thing is the internet. Really, if the internet goes down, now you got a problem, but
Yeah.
it's only temporary.
What's one of the downsides to the proof of work system as far
Really, the
the
only
power
downside
usage?
it's just significant. It's energy.
Yeah.
It's extremely. It's not energy efficient. It takes a lot. Like the size of countries to run Bitcoin. So that's where I think you're seeing a lot of the governments kind of look away from that. But
Mm-hmm.
two, Bitcoin, there is eventually the coins are going to be mined, and now your miners are only going to be doing transactions. But
Yeah, I saw that China was they're setting up all their a lot of their mining facilities right on hydroelectric dams.
right, yeah, there's a school of thought that says energy should be and eventually will be a lot cheaper, if not free. I mean, we very much underutilize the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Wind is kind of a hoax, I've heard. I think a lot of that stuff is, but the sun is a lot of energy that we just throw away every day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how
So,
about proof of stake?
so proof of stake is those are typically pre-mined, and you're proving that you basically that you're the rightful holder of these versus having miners involved and going through these mathematical calculations so it's night and day as far as energy is
Okay, I
concerned.
don't, I'm not really clear on how proof of stake works. I mean, let's say I own a bunch of Tezos, and that's one of the proof of stake cryptocurrencies. And how do they know who owns what?
It's all done through cryptography. It's all done just through the coding.
And do they use the address that it was sent to as the identification of who owns that particular cryptocurrency?
Yeah, it's done through the keys, the address, different cryptography. I mean, they're all a little bit different. And some of them are significantly different. So it just depends on. And that's kind of part of their use case is the technology.
Mm-hmm.
Have they ever been hacked? Stuff like that. So I mean, gets extremely complicated very fast.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
there actually like a battle between these two types of verification of the blockchains?
I mean, kind of. The crypto space, though, I mean, we're pretty smart in that we realize that you don't really want to go against each other because you're fighting all of the governments, all of the, to create this new asset class, we need to all work together. Like,
Right.
you and I, we're not Bitcoin maximalists, but we know that if Bitcoin succeeds, the whole space can be successful, and if it
Right.
gets taken down, it's going to hurt everyone. I don't think cryptocurrency is going away, but it's pretty tribal, as you know. I mean, these different, you have the biggest proof of work versus proof of stake is Bitcoin versus XRP. I mean, that's just,
Hmm.
you have these people that, and of course, the Maxies. Let's talk about the Bitcoin Maxies for a second here.
Okay.
So we got Willie Woo. Did you ever hear him?
Yeah.
Crash? Yeah, he's a maxi. He's pretty deep in the space. You got Anthony Pompliano. He's a Bitcoin maxi, and all these people, of course, one of the main reasons they are is because they have a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
of
Yeah. So
course, they want it to be successful.
exactly.
Um, you got the Winklevoss twins, right?
Sure.
They
Hmm.
left Facebook and then got into crypto heavy. They have the Gemini
Yep.
exchange, right?
Gemini Exchange. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Have you
not one.
used them at
Not one.
all? Or
No, I have set up an account and I
have
might
you?
a couple dollars on it because it was I don't know. There's very few choices of um, cryptocurrencies that you can buy there, and it's expensive and cumbersome. I
Right.
there was so I had a friend of mine I was helping, and he had it took him like a month to move $10,000 through Gemini because he could only put like $1,000 or $500 a day into that he could pull out of his bank to put into Gemini. They had so many limitations. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's changing. It's changing. So it's and that all that's just like old school stuff. I mean, that stuff is the limitations have gone away a lot. And crypto is interesting too because back in the day, if you wanted to get once the other cryptos came out, if you wanted to get any crypto, you were going through Bitcoin. And
Mm,
even today, I think a lot of the trading pairs and stuff. I mean, we'll get into exchanges and stuff like that in a different show, but do you remember that when it was like pretty much if you wanted to touch
mm.
crypto at all, you're going through Bitcoin.
Yeah, you had to buy Bitcoin so you could trade it for other cryptocurrencies on the exchanges. But now you can use Ethereum, you can use US dollar coin, you can use Tether,
XRP, any of that stuff, yeah.
XRP. Yeah, it's changing so quickly.
Yeah, it's changed a lot, but that's how they forced Bitcoin to be, to make it really in the space. And I think it was smart. I mean, you got to start somewhere.
Hmm.
So so you know who that is, right? John McAfee.
I still got the twins up there. Oh, okay, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, he's the founder of McAfee Security, and he's a noted Bitcoin maxi too. And then of course you got Jack Dorsey who owns Twitter and Square. He's been out there, and there's a ton. We're just hitting a few. There's a
Yeah,
ton of people.
Paul,
What?
Raul.
Yeah, Raul Paul. Now, interesting with him, he's come out lately and he's starting to look at other cryptocurrencies. And of course, he's getting taken to the woodshed because he would consider XRP. He's like, there could be some value in this. And of course, some Maxies come out, hey, you piece of dirt. You can't consider other cryptos. Are you nuts?
Well, I saw that MicroStrategy bought another like what $400 million worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Unbelievable.
it's interesting. I mean, and it's kind of the nature of I mean, it's the nature of creating an asset class. Of course, you're going to look at this monster that's out there, and then naturally you're going to think, well, okay, what else is there? And you kind of
Oh,
go, okay, well, here's Ethereum. Here, you just work your way down the food chain from the
sure.
largest to the smallest, and say, okay, what's different about these? You learn about use case and
Yeah.
tokenomics and all that stuff.
Hmm.
But there's certain things that weave through the vein of all cryptocurrency. And I think one of the most important things is limited supply. And Bitcoin's kind of the king with that. It's 21 million that'll ever be created. I think there's about 18 that's done being created. So the bulk of them have been created. And the way the algorithms work with mining is it gets harder and harder. So it's going to take like 50 years to mine the rest of the 3 million.
Hmm.
But a ton of it's been lost. Satoshi's got whoever that is sitting on a million. Bunch has been lost or thrown away or whatever. Because that's the thing with crypto. If you lose it, you lose it. It's done. There's no getting it back. There's no middleman, so it's your responsibility, right?
Yeah. Just think if that 100 million Bitcoin got used to in a humanitarian way.
The million,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, the million Bitcoin.
yeah. It's
It's
yeah. I
big
mean, you
out
could
there. Who
do
knows? Somebody could. It could be. That's a big chunk of change.
yeah. That's
And
a
you know what? At some point, it's going to be, compared to fiat dollars, it's going to just have so much more value.
yeah, yeah. It's and all these tokens too. They start out really. You have a chunk that people get paid with. The company keeps if there's there's always a company except for Bitcoin. But even Bitcoin, whoever created it took the first million. Okay, and here's 20 million for the rest of you guys. But and that makes sense. I mean, you make something, right? You're doing it to you're going to do that. And
Right.
that helps control and all that stuff, so.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's a little bit about kind of the mining and the reward system.
How about projections for Bitcoin?
Well, what's your projection?
Well, wow. Let me go through some of these other
Where do we have that?
couple other
Here's
people. I saw two different reports on Citibank and their analysts, and one of them came in that by the end of 2020, that Bitcoin would be at $120,000 per coin. Right now, it's at 19
by the end of this year,
by
right?
the end of this year. Correct. And another one of their analysts said at the end of this year, which is the end of this month, the Bitcoin would be at $318,000 per coin. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's for the end of 2021.
Okay.
All right. So, yeah. All right. I see
Now
here.
McAfee came out and he said, I think his thing was 250,000 by the end of this year, or he's cutting his wiener off.
I remember hearing about that.
Now he backpedaled since then. He's like, I think he took it back like about 6, 8 months ago. So, well, that was just a joke. Just kidding.
Yeah, well, Pomp had he thought that $100,000 by the end of 2021 is what he predicted.
That was Pomp. What did he have?
$100,000 end of next year.
End of next year. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
it's to me I'm looking at, okay, are you going to box this thing in or not as a government, are you going to use cuz they can do it, they can manipulate it and do it, but I think they don't want to, and I think these people seem to be in the know. I mean, when you have Citibank and these heavy hitters coming out and making these projections, they must be thinking they're not going to do it, so.
Well, if they own enough Bitcoin and they drive the price up, maybe they can cover up all the financial fraud and abuse that's taken place over the last decades. and
Yeah.
pay it off, pay off the national debt, pay everything off. They can start fresh with a new currency or whatever they want to do.
Well, and you think about it when you think of not just Bitcoin, but all of crypto being a new asset class and being basically going from worthless to worth a ton. And
Hmm.
that's where you get back to, okay, did they intentionally create this back in 2008 to get us out of this? Because they knew this wasn't going to go away. You obviously just can't print your way out and just add debt to it, you
I,
know?
and that's why I think they don't care right now about printing. They're just going to keep printing money, printing money, printing money because I think they have a, I think maybe cryptocurrencies is the way to pay that all off at
Right.
some point.
Yep. And it's everyone's opportunity. If you get into it, this is your opportunity to kind of jump over to the new financial system, which is coming either way. You're not getting around it.
Nope.
It's just that you might just be stuck in the central bank digital currencies. Your bank quote unquote cryptos that aren't really cryptos. They're just digital. It's digital money, but they can print it just like it's the value proposition for those bank cryptos is completely different than a regular crypto, than a real crypto.
Yeah.
Because you take away that whole there's a finite amount of regular crypto. But yeah, so Bitcoin's interesting in that you have uh, you have all these forks of Bitcoin. There's like 10 forks in the top 500 coins.
Can you
So
explain what a fork is?
so a fork is basically it's like an offshoot of because Bitcoin's open source. All these cryptos are pretty much open source. I don't know. I think they all are, but that means the code is available. So you can create. We could create a Crash and Edy Bitcoin next week if
Hmm.
we wanted to, but it would just be it's valued at what it's valued at. So there's very few that are really worth anything. Um,
Yeah, and a fork is it's like open. Okay, I like to use the analogy of an accounting ledger book for blockchain,
right.
and it's basically closing one, keeping one book open and continuing, but taking the all the numbers from a certain date and starting a new book that's operating in a different way.
Yeah, so they're all a little bit different. I mean, it's like Bitcoin, but it's a little different. It could be a different use case. So, for instance, Bitcoin Cash is the sixth largest crypto, and that one's at like 275 a coin versus 19,000. And that one is designed to be faster, basically. It's more comparable to like a Litecoin, where it's good at transacting and stuff. Because Bitcoin just isn't. That's the
Yeah,
whole thing
it
with.
takes 20 minutes sometimes for a transaction to take place, or I've seen a half hour in the last couple of
I
last
mean, do you
month.
remember back in the day? It could
Oh,
take
it's,
it
yeah,
could take days, and
yeah.
especially when it's busy.
Hmm.
Things get jammed up. Like now, there's probably over 100,000 transactions like waiting to go through at any time
Hmm.
because you're just backed up and it just can't. It can only process so much so fast. So there's Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. There's one of the interesting ones that's called Wrapped Bitcoin, and you notice the price is pretty much identical to regular Bitcoin. It's designed to be regular Bitcoin, but it's an ERC20 token.
Mm.
So it's
Was that did the price on that go up with Bitcoin, or I thought that was a lot higher price than Bitcoin?
wrapped Bitcoin.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Not that I know of. This wrapped Bitcoin has only been around for. It's supposed to be, yeah. WBTC is. It's backed by Bitcoin 1 to 1, so it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be right around that price. I mean, there's market fluctuation because people still trade it. So there's still
Oh,
the hedging and all that stuff. You
yeah.
can
Okay.
still
So that's, yeah, it's their version of the ERC20.
Yeah, it is, and it's designed for DeFi.
Yeah.
It allows it to be fully integrated into Ethereum's ecosystem of decentralized exchanges, crypto lending services, prediction markets,
Wow,
and
that could
other ERC20 enabled DeFi applications.
yeah, I wonder how much of that's what's the volume on that right now? 24. Oh, market cap. Yeah, because that I mean that could explode and also drive Ethereum's price up.
Yeah, yeah, could. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, it's only been around since late 18, so
Mm-hmm.
officially launched January 31st of 19. So that's interesting. But DeFi is common. I mean, it just makes sense for everything to be on the blockchain. And
Okay, for the novice out there, what is DeFi?
DeFi stands for decentralized finance. It's basically financial vehicles on the blockchain. They could be, and of course, Ethereum being into smart contracts, right? It's a lot of them are going through the ERC20 token, but there's different things coming. This new airdrop or hard fork from XRP through the Flare network, that's all about DeFi.
Mm-hmm.
And really, when you get into DeFi, you have we can get into this with the ERC20, but the question with Ethereum is, can it scale? And that's still out there. It's not really proven to be able to scale. Now these layers they're putting on top of it
Mm-hmm.
is what's going to help it scale. So this Flare token is really it's designed for that. And the first thing they're doing is making a bridge to Ethereum, and so it's fascinating situation right now because DeFi is huge. I mean, your derivatives market, it's like 6 trillion a day. It's trillions per day, this market. But can you scale it? Can you do it on the blockchain? I mean, they're going to be able to. It's just a matter of how you do it, and it's a
Yeah,
huge nut.
right. And there's other coins out there that are going to pick up the slack as well, like Cardano and
Yeah.
so you know Ethereum's going to continue to do what they can. If they can't handle the flow, there's going to be other places where companies can go. Uh,
Yeah.
it's a competitive market.
Yep. It's very competitive, and I'm sure it's also a massive market. So it's just a matter of who's going to get what and how it gets situated. But so that's kind of, I mean, as far as the forks go, you got 10 in the first 500 coins. There's over 100 forks of Bitcoin. Most of them are absolute crap. Some of them don't even have a price, but in the top ones, you got Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi Vision Wrapped, Bitcoin Gold, Bitcoin Diamond, Bitcoin Cash ABC, Bitcoin Point of Sale. I mean, it just goes, and then you just go on and on. So that's Bitcoin's. It's a brand. It's the brand of cryptocurrency. So
Well, I hope that was a good explanation of Bitcoin for our viewers.
yeah, we touched on everything. I mean, you can spend weeks getting into this stuff. So you guys do your own research and get into it, but that's kind of the basics on.
And if you don't understand something we were talking about, just ask us. We're happy to uh, fill you in or teach you the terminology that's required to get a grasp on this, or some analogies that are easier to understand.
Yes, and once again, not financial advice. This is for educational and entertainment purposes only.
That's right. Now, what do we got for the news the last couple days?
So we got, let's see here. Well, so we're going to drop this link below for that video. We also have a video. You can kind of explain this, Crash. You came up with this sucker. We'll put this link below too.
Yeah, there's for many years, I've talked to people in the financial industry and other industries. I mentioned on a show a couple weeks ago about a lady I was talking to that was in the banking industry, and she's like, "Oh, cryptocurrency is that's like for criminals and drug dealers, isn't it?" And there's like you know, this persona that cryptocurrencies are used for people who want to hide what they're doing, and it's not at all that. And there's more and more news coming out showing the benefits of cryptocurrencies. And one of them was there's a show going on in South America, and this Alex Gladstein, he's Human Rights Foundation. Uh, I think he's the CEO, and there's an article here on Decrypt, says Bitcoin a humanitarian defense system, human right, and coming from the human rights leader, and they point out that Bitcoin can push back against surveillance and social credit systems, and what they're referring to is in China, and they refer to this a little bit. There's some 500 million government-owned video systems surveilling all of the citizens of China. Okay, and then they're also setting up this social credit system where they keep track of virtually everything you do, all your transactions, who you talk to, what you say, if you violate any kind of rules or anything like that. And they set up this social credit system, and if you don't have a high enough credit score, you can't participate in their society, and you basically, you end up going to jail. Well, who knows what happens to you. But uh, the way Bitcoin, he feels that Bitcoin can be the alternative to that, and help set up free societies that are free, and there's actual privacy. And so it's an interesting article, and there's also a video I think we're linking to the show, back several months ago, where he was talking with a whole group in San Francisco about the same issue, and I think it's worth taking a look at. Um, so that's what I
Yep.
want to say about that.
That's a good one. That's yeah, and it is. I mean, this is it brings you to the G7 is where it comes right straight into. This is, I mean, it's a battle with the government. So the G7 meets this week. Central bankers stress the need to regulate cryptocurrencies at the latest meeting. So, um, I mean, they're, and they know that. I mean, they have to. So the G7 is Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and the UK.
Yeah, and I think they're really going after the stable coins first.
In the US. Yeah. Yeah, right. Well, and that's how they're really going to regulate this stuff. And that's what I mean. Are they going to force? Because people can say, okay, great, you got stablecoins. I'm not using it. I'm using Bitcoin.
Yeah,
So, or I'm going to use XRP or Ethereum or whatever people want to use.
or
Um,
Monero, or eCash,
yeah,
something that's actually private.
right, right. So, and it's a matter of what are they going to allow, but it's really unsettling to these governments because that is the main form of control with the governments. It's through money.
Hmm.
Period. That's how they control civilization.
Yeah, and I think
So,
this whole cryptocurrency industry is going to have to set up its own infrastructure, whether it's through internet, through satellites, or something, because they need this the infrastructure has to be protected somehow.
well, and they're doing it. I mean, Musk already put up his what's it called, Skynet. That's already in place. I mean, they're going to add satellites to it, but that's in place so that if the grid goes down on Earth, you
That's the name of the um, AI system that was in the Terminator movies, the Skynet.
was it really?
Yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. That's is that predictive programming?
yeah.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Um, but yeah, and it is all AI and stuff. I mean, it's just there's also there's a couple cryptos, a smaller crypto that they have satellites up there. So it
Mm.
is. I mean, it's about, and that's another thing you can do with crypto. It's if you're traveling out in space or whatever, you can take it wherever you go. You know.
Well,
You're not.
I remember also on one of the Star Wars movies. I think it was Han Solo, the Han Solo movie, and yeah, there was like they talked about all these different currencies all the time, and it was like a big joke that yeah, I lost all my money and blah 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 token.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, or they'd go into the bars and stuff, and they're exchanging all this weird currency.
Yeah, yeah,
They knew it was coming. I mean, it just,
it's all telegraphed to us.
yeah, as weird as it is, it makes a lot more sense. And value, it's all relative. It's all, what it's perceived, what something of value is,
Yeah.
So, anyways, this G7 thing is pretty interesting. There's strong support across the G7 on the need to regulate digital currencies. Of course, there is, fellas. And then there's huge concern. One of the biggest, going back to Facebook, because as soon as they launch, it's like 3 billion people that automatically have this. It's immediately the world's largest bank. So, of course, everyone's panicked over that. But Germany in particular came out and said, a wolf in sheep's clothing is still a wolf. It's clear to me that Germany and Europe cannot and will not accept its entire or its entry into the market while the regulatory risks are not adequately addressed. So basically, we got to pin this sucker down
Hmm.
because it's going to take over. We must do everything possible to make sure the currency monopoly remains in the hands of states.
Well,
Says it all.
yeah, and there is some validity to that. To be, we can't vote for who's in charge and runs and what policies Facebook puts forth. We can vote and revolt and whatever else we need to do when it comes to states.
That's
And
true.
so it's a catch-22, and it's something we need to really educate ourselves on as a public. And if we don't, we're going to be left behind.
Yeah, these anarchists that really believe in zero government, it's not realistic. There's too many whack jobs out there. That's the problem.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? There's just too many whack jobs that will not allow civilization to exist without government.
Our forefathers had it perfect. Limited government.
Yeah, limited. Yup, exactly. So, one other thing, other as far as like news and stuff, there's obviously always a ton going on. But some things. This is the weekend or the week of the airdrop, the hard fork with XRP and Flare token. So
Hmm.
kind of interesting. So a couple of the hype channels are coming out and saying there's going to be some huge reset because they did come out. It is interesting. They did come out yesterday. The exchanges are going to be halted for XRP actually, for like an hour before and an hour after this event.
Yeah,
So
that's funny because I'm into a couple different groups, and I heard several of them talking about, yeah, I'm gonna dump my XRP just before the airdrop because it's the price is just gonna get skyrocketed. And I'm like, I don't think so, man.
they're going to dump it though because it's going to
Yeah,
get.
yeah, they think they're gonna make a ton of money, like it's not gonna maintain its value after the airdrop.
Really? Okay.
I'm like,
Oh, because it had a run up now.
yeah, well, they think there's gonna be a bigger run up in the next couple days.
Oh, I don't.
People
I
die.
mean, you just who knows. But I think the reason that they're doing this price set, I think it's so that because these market makers, you got to keep in mind XRP is one of the most liquid out there. It's just on other than Bitcoin, it's
Hmm.
on like every exchange. There's these market makers that are they've put a system in place to be a real currency and to move money. I mean, that's their deal.
Right.
So you have these market makers that have a lot of it, relatively, And of course, they get that token. So they're probably stopping it to make sure that, okay, I have it. Here's, take the snapshot and, to make sure. Otherwise, it's like if you're just trading through it,
Well,
you
and I
know.
think I think it's going to take them time to do a snapshot. I don't think. Do you think they have the technology to take a snapshot of everything at the same time?
Yeah, it's instant. Yeah, because, I mean, that's the beauty of the blockchain. Yeah, it's going to take very little time. Now, recording it and dealing with
Yeah,
it, I
but there's
mean,
different types of platforms. There's platforms where it's all held by a custodian. There's Ledger. There's exchanges. There's just different systems. I was thinking that they would kind of go through that. There was going to be several different snapshots based on how things are custodied.
well, there's one snapshot, but what they do with that is that's exactly why they're doing it, to look at it and say, okay, because if you're not a participating exchange, you don't get that. You don't get the flare.
I mean, my first thought with the snapshot was, okay, if they're taking a snapshot of exchanges at 12 noon, and they're taking a snapshot of um, cold wallets at 1 p.m. Is somebody going to get the snapshot at 12 and then transfer from between 12 and 1 to a ledger and get a double?
No, and that's why they do the snapshot, because they have to have a one-time event at the exact same time. They look at everything on the ledger,
I'd be
and then
curious
they
to see how they do that.
what's that?
I'm curious to see how they take a snapshot of
I know it's
all that
fascinating. It
same.
is fascinating, but through those addresses on XRP, they're coded a certain way, and they know. Like, and I think the first thing I do is weed out. The biggest thing is you're weeding out any exchanges that are not participating.
Yeah.
And then there's a few extra larger wallets that aren't going to get it. Like Jeb McCaleb has been eliminated, I guess,
Hmm.
who's the creator of Stellar.
Hmm.
So I think the snapshot is more about eliminating these people that don't get it than everyone else gets it, you know.
Yeah.
But a couple things that aren't known is how much you're going to get and what's the price going to be,
It's
obviously.
supposed to be one for one, right?
No, it's a minimum of 1 for 1. It's not going to be 1 for 1. It's going to be probably somewhere between 1 and 2 for 1, because people that don't get it,
Ah,
that extra gets divided up amongst people that are doing it. And it's interesting. There's quite a few people that aren't doing it. They're worried about it. They're concerned. There's fear. There's all
yeah,
sorts.
yeah. There's
It's interesting.
it really is.
And there's a lot of now lately every exchange is, which is making me think it's going to be bigger than people think, because every exchange, including Coinbase.
Yeah, they just came out last week, I think, and said that they were going to participate. And I had emailed their support team probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, and asked them if they were going to participate, and they said no. The way things are set up and designed, we cannot distribute the coins properly. And I think if you look, I don't know for sure, but I have a gut feeling that you're not going to get all your Spark tokens if you got them at Coinbase. I think
Well,
they.
one thing that they said that Flare put out there, they are not allowed to take the tokens. Like if Coinbase has custody of it or
Uh-huh.
they're participating, they don't get any tokens. They only get the benefit of people holding it there or doing it through them. But
Yeah.
it's interesting. I mean, Coinbase in particular, that's a company that doesn't do that. It's almost like they were told, "Oh, by the way, you're doing this, so get it together."
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's fascinating. I think it might be
Well,
bigger than
think
people think.
I think what forced them to do it was that there was tons of XRP leaving Coinbase.
Yeah, but they don't care. They've always shunned XRP. They're all ERC20, really Coinbase. They do a lot of, I don't know. They've always just been, and two, they've always just been this pompous company that, yeah, we're gonna do it when we're good and ready to do it. And
Mhm.
like you said, I mean, they came out saying, no, we're not doing. That's typical Coinbase. No, we're not doing it. We don't, you know. And
Yeah,
then it's like they got a call. By the way, you're doing this. You know.
yeah. And I should go back and look at that email and what they told me why they couldn't do it.
Yeah, well, it's fascinating. They're doing it, and I don't think it's just for the money, man. But I don't. It's and it is weird to have I mean, I could see why they would do it, and I'm not saying there's going to be this massive price set. But if you're going to do a price set, you're halting trading.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you do. I mean, you know it, and I know it. That's when you get a price set is when you halt trading.
When,
So kind of, and you never hear that with airdrops either. When have you ever heard of, yeah, we're halting exchanges?
what do you mean? What'd you say? A reset?
Yeah, like a price. Yeah,
Set?
some of these hype channels, it's like a lot of people think like if you're going to get into derivatives, you cannot do it at a sub dollar XRP. You can't do it. There's just way too much volume. So that's how you're going to get some people think, and some people think it's nuts. You know, I stand in the camp of it's going to be very valuable just because of the volume you have to push through it. And there's a lot of coins out there, but not really. It's kind of like Bitcoin where there's way less tokens really out there. I mean, some people say that there's really less than a million Bitcoin trading around.
Mhm.
There's just it's not anywhere close to 21 million.
Yeah.
An XRP is more like a couple billion, not 100 billion. You know, it's just not the actual market float of these is way less than.
Yeah. Did you read something about XRP possibly burning like 50 million XRP or something like that?
Yeah, they said that. Their CTO Swartz came out and said that if if the community decided to do it, they'd have to do it. I mean, it's not run by a company. Ripple has zero control over the actual currency. I mean, that's what they've always stated, and I think that was his point. If they would say they're not, I don't think all the nodes have to agree to it. It's got to be. It's got to be. I don't know if it's. I think it's maybe 80% or something have to agree to it, but to any changes that are made to the ledger, like the rules of it and stuff. So
Yeah.
burning tokens, any of that stuff. I don't see them doing it because they need them. There's just if you're actually getting into derivatives trading, you need a lot of tokens. It's just trillions moving around a day. I mean, Swift does like 5 trillion a day, just the Swift system.
Oh, I
So
know it's huge. I
yeah,
guess, I guess Ripple is like 1/16 the cost of the SWIP.
I would think, yeah. I mean, it's
And it's almost instant, It's
well, yeah, and there's a 6% failure rate of Swift. I mean, 6% of the time you move money cross border, you literally lose the money.
that's
It's a joke. It's a joke. So, anyways, that airdrop's coming. That's interesting. We'll see what happens with it. Hopefully, it price sets to about $1,500 a token, and we'll all be set. I won't be, but my friend will. Anyways, Crash, man, this is a record length of a show. We're gonna get beat up for this. You know
I
that.
know, I know. I'm gonna say, can't you get all this information in a half an hour?
This will be the one time, though. I mean, Bitcoin is, and we didn't even cover everything. I mean, there's books written on this thing.
Right.
It's a legend. So, all right, people, we're gonna wrap it up. Um,
We'll let you know what we're gonna do next time. I think we'll probably skip one episode and do more into the news and some other things, and come back to a coin. What, in a week or so, maybe?
yeah, something like that. We'll see. Drop us a line. See what you think. Leave a comment.
Yeah.
Again, not financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. Do your own research. Get yourself some digital gold today.
And please subscribe, hit like, hit bell, which is and then hit all.
What is this all thing you're talking
Well,
about,
okay,
Chris? What
so
is that?
so when you hit subscribe, and then there's a bell next to it, and that sets an alarm so you get notified when we put out a new show. Okay, and if you don't hit
Oh,
then if you don't hit the all button, it'll only do it when it wants to. If you want to know when we're putting a show out, you got to hit subscribe, the bell, and all.
got it. Hit that all button, people.
It's important. Very, very important. Okay.
Yep. Have a good rest of the week. And this is Eddie saying out.
Yeah. Hopefully you recorded it.
Oh, shoot, I didn't. We got this one, people.
All right. We'll talk to you soon, Eddie.
See ya.
Bye.